social aspect of that experience was the more powerful motivator for me to have.
Yeah, I mean, I actually mentioned this.
Yeah, that was a favorite case. I'm just real impressed by who I was reading. Oh, God, he said before that. Oh, yeah.
Good morning and welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Door County. And thank you, Beth, for the lovely prelude to call us to this morning's service. My name is Carrie Link, and it is my pleasure to be the service leader for this morning's service. On behalf of the fellowship and me, I welcome all of you here in person and for any of those watching online. Just a quick reminder, please make sure your cell phones are turned off or any other noise-making items you might have. We welcome everyone here because we gather here as individual people, young and old, male and female, temporarily able and disabled, gay, lesbian, bisexual, and straight, all the colors of the human race. Theist, atheist, agnostic, Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, feminist, humanist. We gather here as a community of people who are more than categories. We gather here, each ministering to the other, meeting one another's strength, encouraging wholeness. We give thanks for this extraordinary blessing, the gathering of separate, unique individuals as one whole, one body, one fellowship. Here, may we acknowledge our brokenness and be ever stirred by love's infinite possibilities. Welcome to you all once again, and thank you for being here. We'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors who are here this morning, as well as anyone who hasn't been here for a while. And it is our custom to ask you to stand and introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from, what may have brought you here this morning, and if you would all stand at once, we'll start over here. This isn't mandatory, it's just that we like to welcome you more individually. So if anyone would like to, we welcome you. Yes.
My name is Tamara Bryant. I'm here with my daughter Madeline Chosey and my mother-in-law Shirley Chosey. We're here for the week to celebrate Shirley's 90th birthday.
Very nice. Happy birthday.
We all attend the First Unitarian Church in Madison.
So great. Well, welcome. Thank you.
Good to be here.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
One more.
Okay.
We're Molly and Bo, and we live in Virginia, but we have a place up here in Door County, and we spend the summer up here.
Very nice.
Unitarians and love coming here for the summer.
Welcome. Okay. Please be sure to join everyone in the gathering room for coffee, tea, and goodies right after the postload. And after about 15 to 20 minutes, the chimes will sound, which is the signal to return here to the sanctuary, and we'll meet over in this area. We have a talk back with our speaker, so we're all hope that you all attend. Excuse me. Our speaker is Joy Zakcheski. Joy has spoken here several times in the past, but it's been a while, so we are very happy to have you here. The announcements pertaining specifically to this fellowship are listed on the back of your order of service, but if there are any other announcements that anyone would like to make, just raise your hand and Bob will find you. No announcements. Oh, we do.
I thought that was Hank for a minute. I was scared. Okay.
Cindy Nelson, just a gentle reminder that people continue to use the food shelves. Every week they are empty. So please, if you are able, when you do your shopping, you might like to shop for someone else and help us supply the food shelves. We tend to deliver them to Door of Life on Tuesdays, so you can drop them off here anytime during the week, or if you just want to deliver them yourselves to Door of Life, that is perfectly fine, or whatever food shelf is close to where you live. But do keep in mind that there are people out there that need our help. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Good morning, everyone. I always like to give a little bit of background to the method of my madness in what I pick for selections today. And when I saw what Joy was speaking about prophets, I thought about ancient prophets. I thought about her message about contemporary, we as prophets. So the first piece, Come Thou Traveler Unknown, just felt like that spoke to ancient prophets. So often they were an unknown person in the midst of the community that they were called to serve. And the offertory, Oh Lovely Peace, I think I have that right, just felt like what we're seeking as prophets. We don't always find it, but we are looking for that wholeness in our lives and bringing that wholeness to our communities. And then finally, the last one, Now Rest Beneath Night's Shadow, again feels just like speaking to the kind of rest that all humans are longing for. And historically, it is a German chorale, and Gerhard and I were talking about this, that it stems back to the 1500s for the tune. So it's a lovely ancient piece. The arranger happens to be a more contemporary Lutheran organist, Paul Mons, and I think of him as a prophet for music because he does such beautiful work with the overlays he chooses before he launches into a melody line. And I just thought I'd share the words of the first verse, which comes from the 1600s, because it feels applicable to all of us. Now rest beneath night's shadow, the woodland, field, and meadow, the world in slumber lies. But you, my heart, is awakening, and prayer and rest are making. Let presence be your creation rise.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, thank you. As I recite the words by Pat Lichty for the lighting of the chalice, Anna will do that. The chalice we light today is a symbol of our faith. It binds us together as one people, a reminder that our strength is in our shared hope for the world, and that our common work is the creation of beloved community among ourselves and in the world. Thank you, Anna. Please stand as you are able in body or spirit for hymn number 67, and after the hymn, please remain standing for the unison affirmation and doxology, both found in your order of service. We gather together to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths, ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives. Please be seated. During the time for joys and concerns, this gives us an opportunity to share a happiness and or perhaps a sadness you have experienced. If you have something to share, please raise your hand and Bob will bring the microphone to you. And again, please respect confidentiality in that you have received someone else's permission to share.
First, I should have spoken last week, but there were so many joys that were shared, and I find that very joyful, was very just filled with how much was shared and so much joy in the room, and I'm very grateful for that. I do have a sorrow to share, too. On Friday, my sister Nancy passed away. We were so grateful we had the chance to go out and be with her on her birthday, her 80th birthday. So this came, we thought she was doing better. She was in a rehab facility and making some progress, trying to get stronger in order to resume her cancer treatments, but it was not meant to be. So she is now at peace, and we're grateful we had the chance to be with her.
We're sorry for your loss, Donna.
I don't know how many may know or may not know that Sheila Saperstein had broken her hip, and she is recuperating now at SCAN, but at this point has requested no visitors, but I know she'd love to get cards, and if you do send a card, I would like to remind you to print very, very large, because we share macular degeneration, and I know hers is more progressed than mine, so I know she'd love to hear from you, so I hope you'd send her a card.
Thank you, Diane.
Hi, my name is Gwen Grayboys, and I have a big joy. The landscaping project out front is finished. We had a lot of members who helped with this extensive project, which was interrupted by the placement of a cement walk. But I need to give special recognition to two people who helped me cross the finish line. Bruce and Cindy, they're laughing, they know they were there. Bruce and Cindy got me through. When the checkered flag, I saw it, and I just couldn't quite make the final leap. Cindy goes, "It's okay, we'll make those hose fits. It's okay, we can finish this. It's just another pile of mulch." And I'm sitting there sweating, and I wanted to quit, but she said, no, we could get this finished now. We didn't have to come back. And a special recognition for Bruce. We all know that he's chair of our Building and Grounds Committee, and he's much happier on the building part of that committee than he is on the grounds part of that committee. So he hauled dirt and mulch from the back of the building to the front of the building. And he fixed all the faucets and bibs and fancy connectors, so now our self-watering system will work.
Great. I think you.
Good morning. I'm Maria Thompson. I have a joy and a concern. The joy is I'm up here for the whole week, so if any committees need me for anything, please call me because I'll have lots of free time to help you out. I made an announcement the last time that we had found housing. It fell through. So if you hear of any homes or apartments in 1 year, we'll be up here full time. And so we're still looking. So just let me know if you have anything in mind. So thank you.
I didn't want to disappoint you, Bob. Hi, my name is Hank Wilson, and I have a joy. In contrast to the news of the day, I want to express my appreciation and joy and thankfulness for our big, beautiful building and all the wonderful people in it.
Hi, Juliana Newman here. My joy is that our chickens have been very prolific this spring, and therefore I have eggs for sale out front after the service if you're interested. They are very good.
Mm-hmm. I can vouch for that.
Those again, yes. Anyone else?
Okay, thank you. We will now have this morning's offering. Your contributions are a tangible commitment to the vision and mission of this fellowship. Please be as generous as you are able. You may also donate very safely on our at our website, uufdc.org. And for our visitors, let your presence here this morning be your contribution. Thank you. Please take a moment to reflect upon those challenges that may be weighing on you, the events foreseen and those unforeseen, and embrace each. Then set them aside in order to be more fully present in this moment and receptive to the remainder of the service.
For our opening words this morning, Carrie and I chose a poem titled Displacement by Amanda Gorman. We've come so far, we say, but we have further to go. In physics, we're taught that displacement and distance differ. Displacement is merely the space between where an object starts and where it ends. But distance is the total length of the path an object takes. How far Sisyphus pushes that rock up its murky mound, as well as the route it rolls down again. A poem and how it runs through the body before leaving us something slightly more than we were. Simply put, the rise and fall matter. Conjoined, not canceling. Expansion, not erasure. It is only then that we can understand how our distance from our worst selves is centuries, and yet we have not been displaced. Yes, we have gone further than we have come. A part of ourselves is still barbed and barbaric, a wired complex of greed. There is also the element that is guided by good, the way our blood is bracketed by veins. According to legend, there are two wolves inside us, one half that must be fought and one that must be fed, one that must fall and one that must never fail. That wretched summer we were distempered as dogs, but to be disturbed is to be moved, pushed toward progress. Our disgust is a measurement of distance, a distance for what was. It is to grasp that we must never go back. History is fractured and fractal. Even when we've succumbed, we have not surrendered. We might fall, we might rise. Distance, but not displaced, traveling further than we shift. What matters most is that we find each other in the lit up space between. Well, good morning, everyone. It has been a while since I have been here, actually since before COVID. And I want to say thank you to Beth, and I want to say thank you to Carrie especially, an amazing worship team, so my heartfelt gratitude. And I really want to give a special shout out to Sarah, wherever she may have gone. Sarah continued to ask me to join you, to speak with you, and she did not give up despite my multiple times of completely declining and sometimes even no response to her at all. But a few of you know, my life took a very dark, a very painful turn, one which led me onto a behavioral health journey, a journey that I am still on, and one for which I will be forever grateful. During that time, I was in no position to do this. I was empty, deeply depressed, suffering from anxiety attacks, and I really had nothing to say. But earlier this year, when Sarah wonderfully, graciously, once again emailed, "Will you join us?" I began my reply in the usual way. "I'm sorry, thank you for asking, but I'm really not ready yet." And then I stopped. Delete, 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 delete. Thank you, Sarah. I am ready. I have something to say. When we talked about dates, I asked if she had anything available in June, Pride Month. Not because I wanted my talk with you today to be fully about pride, though it is a springboard for our discussion. I wanted to be with you during Pride Month because I wanted this affirming, welcoming, and supportive community of friends to be the place of my first public coming out. Thank you. Thank you. You need to save some of that applause for my therapist. Because last year, my therapy journey led me to the discovery of myself, my truth, that I am a lesbian. And wow, what a game changer. And that certainly is another talk for another time. And I have always been an advocate and an ally of the LGBTQIA+ community, and now it's personal, especially with the concerted attack on the rights and lives of this community, especially our transgender sisters and brothers. And this is why I wanted to challenge us with the notion of who is a prophet? Recognizing ourselves as such and taking on the role of a prophet in the lives that we lead. And whether it's in support of the LGBTQIA+ community, whether it's women's health rights, climate change, environmental protections, education, civil and constitutional rights, immigration, citizen issues, keeping intact our social safety nets. My God, the list in just 6 months has become overwhelmingly endless. We are at a tipping point. And so now is the time, and this is the place, and we are the ones to take on the mantle of the ones who will be the difficult truth tellers, agents of change, messengers of warning, teachers of a moral alternative, the watchers and the guardians of justice and equality. And I know that many, if not all of you, are doing this and more. And so I also want to touch upon this morning, how do we keep going, right? How do we continue to do the reforming work being done despite the challenges and the setbacks? But first, what is a prophet? What springs to mind? Like an angry, pompous, wild-haired, fire and brimstone ranter and raver? Who do you think of when you think of a prophet? Muhammad? Jesus? Martin Luther King? Maya Angelou? Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Kendrick Lamar? You know, I did an internet search for modern day prophets, and I found it incredibly interesting that the first page of websites all claimed that there are no prophets today. It wasn't until page 2, about midway down, that I finally came across an article in the Vancouver Sun. The article began with a quote from Abraham Joshua Heschel, the Polish-American rabbi and theologian, and certainly a prophet in his own right, as he was a clarion call for social action in the United States, for civil rights, and in opposition to the Vietnam War. Heschel wrote, "The situation of a person immersed in the prophet's words is one of being exposed to a ceaseless shattering of indifference, and one needs a skull of stone to remain callous to such blows." And I want to add to this thought the words of Elie Wiesel, Holocaust survival and political activist. "The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference." I'm sure many of you have heard that quote before. And so in its simplest, everyday form, you are a prophet. When you take notice, when you care, when you say, this is not right, and you try to do something about it. But that does not mean that we stand above in judgment or be set apart or feel superior, because the prophet's work puts us squarely in solidarity with human suffering, knowing that we too are fellow sufferers. We are fellow sinners. One of my favorite authors is researcher Brené Brown. And she believes and teaches that our lives are better when we assume that people are doing their best. During a podcast on this subject, she was asked, so Charles Manson is doing his best? What about Donald Trump? And her reply was, yes, they are. Which is why Manson needs to stay in prison for the rest of his life and why Donald Trump should not be holding a public office. Assuming others are doing their best does not give them a free pass or condone their behavior, but it does keep us out of judgment. It critiques our own motives, admits that we too have a shadow side that disparages the other team while unceasingly proving loyalty to our own. You know, power is power, no matter who holds it. And once power is gained, it is protected at all costs, even sometimes at the expense of justice. It is too easy to declare ourselves sinless, pure, and right. And so it is necessary to keep our own egos in check as we check the egos of those striving for power in order to enslave or segregate, demean, defraud. Because we are the guardians against those who rely on weapons, the weapons of money, lies, fear, to keep themselves safe and in control. And always with an eye that we are not doing the same. And while this principle of ascribing that everyone is doing the best they can is difficult, to say the least, it is healing. And it is from this position of healing, this position of undeserved, compassionate understanding that allows us, as prophets, to focus on what is and how best to move forward to meet the challenges, the tragedies, and the evil that is before us. I think the key to living as a prophet is showing up for what is, no matter how heartbreaking, no matter how laborious or tortuous it is. Because it is tempting in the face of intractable conflict to throw in the towel, to hide our head in the sand. I know, I've been there. I've done that. But it is in this place. It is here on the very sacred ground of a broken heart where the cataclysm once seen cannot be unseen, where we feel the pain of injustice that we cannot help but protect, speak out, respond, act. I come from a Judeo-Christian heritage and education, and so I have to look at Jesus, a true prophetic example. He turned the power structure upside down. The first are last, and the last shall be first. He denounced the religious elite. He spoke out against the power brokers of his day. And throughout his life, Jesus touched lepers. He pronounced the unclean clean. The despised were beloved. His best friends were the disregarded and the destitute. He gave the poor and the marginalized status. He made his home with the least, the last, the lost, and the dead. And he did it with 3 simple yet powerful words, a new commandment, a rallying cry: love one another. Love one another. Our prophetic work must be firmly rooted in a heart of love. Love and care for ourselves, love and care for each other, all the each others, even the ones we don't like, even the ones who are our enemies. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus said, "To you who are listening, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you." We are not being asked to be nice. We are being challenged to align ourselves with the very heart, the very soul of universal love, the very character of God. We are being challenged to believe that love will always win. This is a call to break the cycle of hatred and retaliation and instead choose a path of active, tangible acts of kindness and service. To be a prophet is to recognize our own evolution in first understanding, forgiving, being patient, and loving ourselves, and then extending that same understanding, forgiveness, patience, and love to others, all the while striving toward the ideal, even more so, not just the ideal, but the right, the absolute right of all people to live interdependently the life of their choice in peace. I think we all know what Jesus got for his efforts. He was killed, brutally so, by fear. As did Martin Luther King Jr., as did Herbert Lee, a farmer working on voter registration. Medgar Evers, Hassan Nasrallah, a cleric killed for speaking against the atrocities committed against Lebanese citizens, Mahatma Gandhi. You know what? You can add your own names to the list. This last section, I'm not really selling this prophet gig, am I, with that last bit? But stay with me. Stay with me. You know, there are a few Buddhas, a few Jesuses, Gandhis, MLK Juniors out there, right? The voices of those crying in the wilderness. But there are hundreds, there are thousands, there are millions of us, the yous and me's, working in our communities to promote a culture of love and respect and mutual interdependence. The assassination of prophets, whether by outright murder or by silencing our voices with fear, or creating a darkness so deep that we wrongly believe our light won't matter, is effective. It is effective at stalling our collective progress and healing. It delays our ability to create the better world that we dream of for ourselves and for our children. And for every one of us who steps up to take on our own prophetic mantle, there are just as many who lose hope, who lose their way, who just can't muster the vision of a brighter future. Our lights matter. Our vision matters. Our efforts matter. Big, small, and everything in between, it matters. Each of us, each one of you, possesses gifts that are both rare and necessary. In my office at work, I have a framed card that Gloria Doherty and her dog Libby, many of you probably remember them, sent me. The outside of the card displays a Chinese proverb. Those who wish to move mountains do so by carrying away small stones. This is from Cassidy Hall in her work, Queering Prophecy. She wrote, "The prophets continue to invite us into this fearless commitment to the values of liberation, love, and justice. And they model these values as far more important than a desire to control, know, or get caught up in respectability politics. The prophet knows their calling is not tidy, pretty, or neat. It is a trudge through the mud of life alongside the few who believe in the same values and hold the same commitments." Cassidy Hall challenges us to queer the way we look at prophecy, forcing us to remove our own anticipations and desired outcomes, separating us from domination to be concerned with prophetic values of interconnection, love, justice, and this part I love, wonder. Wonder. Doing so allows us to enter a depth of commitment that we could not otherwise achieve. Comedian and actress Margaret Cho was asked in an interview, what's the most effective way for us to stand up against the insanity, the tyranny that's coming out of Washington? And her reply was this. She said, the best way to stand firm, the best way to fight back is to live our joy. Celebrate it every day. Do that, and they do not win. Thomas Merton adds to this thought. Boy, talk about an opposite. Margaret Cho, Thomas Merton. But Thomas Merton adds to this thought. We have to participate in some manner in the vision of the prophets. People who are alive to the divine light concealed in the opacity of things and events, and who see glimpses of light where others see nothing but ordinary happenings. That is wonder. A prophet sits next to you. A prophet looks back at you in the mirror. You, each of you, is an exciter of the masses, wise beyond your years, living higher values, following a moral imperative that may be foreign to our contemporaries. You lead just by living your lives, and in your own way, in your own space, strive for a more humane humanity and a healthy planet on which to live. I certainly do not have to tell you that this is an uphill battle. More accurately, an up mountain battle. Case in point, GLAAD CEO Sarah Kate Ellis was a recent guest on the Made It Out podcast. Yes, I listen to a lot of podcasts. She cited GLAAD research that showed the right-wing media reaches 100 million people each week. The progressive media reaches, any guess? 30 million each week. That's a 70 million per person per week gap. And our country right now is living in that 70 million gap. I mean, that's frightening. I was like, whoa. But the podcast host asked her, how do we close that gap? She replied, find your platform. Find your platform. And whether that platform is reaching 2 million people on TikTok or 1 million on Instagram, or whether it is like my friend Mary, who shares her poetry and has written 2 amazing inspirational articles for the Pulse. Whether you attend a march or a rally, whether you go to a school board meeting, whether you invite someone to plant a tree with you, show your neighbor how easy it is to compost. Bring a casserole to someone who's sick. Bake a pan of brownies. Invite your neighbor for a cup of coffee. Find your platform. Find what you can do with what you have, where you're at. That is your platform. Because GLAAD's research found that it's how we connect with people that sparks change. Finding shared interests is powerful and important. And once you do that, then you can share your story. Build trust, create understanding, and then inform, defend, and change the narrative. And we all have the opportunity to do that. No matter how dark it gets or how big the crisis looms, don't lose hope. Don't lose your voice. Don't lose your joy, your wonder, and don't lose each other. There's a story from the Old Testament that I have gone back to numerous times in my life, and it puts circumstances in perspective for me. So this is the prophet Elijah. Elijah was living large, right? He was experiencing success after success. He was making a difference. He was going to turn Israel around, get them back onto the path of righteous living and justice. But the reigning power of the day, Queen Jezebel, was having none of that. She vowed to have Elijah killed, and in working up to that, she killed all of his compatriots. So Elijah felt alone. Elijah wrongly believed he was alone, and that is definitely the killer of any of the work that we want to do, is to feel alone. So Elijah was afraid, and rightly so. So he went and he hid in a cave, stayed there for quite a while. So finally God comes to Elijah, finds him in the cave where he's hiding, and he says, Elijah, what are you doing here? Elijah replies, you know what, I have done everything I can. It's no use. I am done. I am defeated. So God tells Elijah to stand at the mouth of the cave. And there he witnesses a great and powerful wind that tears apart a mountain, shatters rocks. But God was not in the wind. Then Elijah experiences an earthquake. God was not in the earthquake. Finally, Elijah sees a great fire destroying everything in its path, but God was not in the fire. After all of that, Elijah hears a gentle whisper, and he finds God in the whisper. God tells Elijah to go back the way he came, and along the way he will find people who will join him in the fight, who will engage with him and continue the work of getting the message out, making a difference, changing the status quo. Listen for your whisper. Find your tribe. Do what you can where you are at with what you have. Don't give up. show up and show the world a better way. I want to close with a short section from Beyond the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. That book is the follow-up to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which was last year's Door County Reads book. And if you have not read these books, please do so. They are beautiful. When I finished the first book, The House on the Cerulean Sea, I literally hugged it to myself. It is beautiful, powerful, heartwarming, funny books. Linus was right. They had made a difference. Perhaps it was on a small scale, and its reverberations might not be felt outside the borders of their community. But as he had taught their children, even the smallest things can change the world, if only one is brave enough to try. It wasn't unlike the seeds they had planted at Linus's former dreary home. Darkness and shadows, never-ending rain, and yet color persisted, bursting through and rising toward a blackened sky. And so it is.
Please rise as you're able for hymn number 276. And Donna will lead us, as will Beth.
We'll play it through once, and then Carol and I will lead you.
Okay. Please be seated. If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they may come true. Give some back. If you had known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Go in peace.